You're listening to the StudioPTBO podcast, where we talk all things marketing to help you build and grow your business online. Welcome to the latest episode. Welcome to the StudioPTBO podcast. We are back, and we are back with another guest. I'm going to hide that really quickly there. I don't want any branding to show up in this. If it does, it's fine. But Neil, we are back with another guest. This is super exciting.
Yes, Jess, Dalliday in the house from the Healthy Sweet Potato, not tomato.
Not tomato.
I think you should add that to the end. But yeah, we were talking before, and I was like, what's the name again? And then she told me, but me being old man Neil, I forgot quickly and called it the Healthy Sweet Tomato. But I do like the Healthy Sweet Tomato. I'm going to start that tomorrow.
I like it too.
You should park that handle like really quick.
Oh yeah, it's done already.
It's already done. He already has it. He has it on Instagram. He has it on Facebook. He has it on Twitter.
Welcome to the show, though, Jess. This is awesome to have you on, and you do a lot of stuff. You're a new mom.
Yeah.
You're a blogger. You're a Pilates instructor. You're a person who just likes positivity, kindness, empathy, being out there in the community.
You have a dog.
Yes.
You have a dog.
Yes.
I really like the dog.
Well, you have a lot in your life, Jess. How do you do it all?
Oh, well, first off, I just want to say thank you for having me on here. I'm honored to be here.
It's awesome.
Thank you. And I don't do it all. Well, I do, but I do it with help. So I want to start with that because I think that's a huge thing that's being promoted right now, especially as a mom. I'm noticing there's a lot of pressure to do it all, but it's really hard to say that you're doing it all or even do it all effectively. So my husband is my anchor and he works full time so that I can do this right now. And yeah, I get help from my parents and my in-laws to help with the baby so that I can come to things like this too. So trying, to get as much help as I can and support from the people that are close to me so that I can at least do most things well.
Yeah.
So maybe take me back through how this journey started, with we'll get into Pilates on demand, but maybe take me back through the journey specifically on how you got to where you are today, with the Healthy Sweet Potato, with Pilates on demand. What really inspired you to do this all, and just tell us how you got here.
Yeah, so I was working in Toronto, and I was working 3 jobs, and of course decided that starting a blog would be a fun hobby to do. I've never done anything online before, so I can't even tell you how many hours I spent on YouTube because I built my whole website myself, and I think I spent a total of $100 on my blog, and to this day, that's all I've spent on it because I've done everything myself. So, yeah, it was really fun. I enjoyed it, spending my time doing that, and I don't know what it is about my personality, but I'm one of those people. Actually, I've taken the Enneagram, I think it's called, as a personality test, and I'm a 3, so I'm an achiever. So I'm just constantly trying to do more and more and achieve things. So it's in my personality type. But anyways, the other part of why I started this blog was because I was kind of suffering with some health issues. So I was trying to get pregnant, and my hormones were just out of whack, and I realized that my eating and exercise were just too intense for me to actually get pregnant. So I had to take a step back from exercising and from trying to eat super quote unquote healthy. So I ended up actually channeling a lot of that energy into my blog. And then it sort of just stemmed from there. I started sharing plant-based recipes. And then from there, I just started sharing my life story, and I actually connected with a lot of people that way. And it's grown a lot, I think, just from me opening up about my experience. And so now I'm sharing all things about my life, and then the Pilates business kind of stemmed off of that just because it made a little bit of sense, which we can get into more.
So health and wellness, has that always been a part of your life? You said exercise was a part of your life since you were a child, and it's always been who you are, part of your DNA. It's made you feel good, but you've had sort of battles with it because you're saying exercise also caused you to have health problems, ironically enough, sometimes, or it didn't work with what you had. But why is it a passion of yours, health and wellness, and that attitude toward life and empowering people to get on board with that, with Pilates and whatnot, and eating well?
Yeah, I think it just really made me feel better. I felt more energized, and I think I'm just naturally a person that has a lot of energy, so it was a way to sort of channel my energy. And I am a little bit anxious too, so I can only have 1 cup of coffee a day. But
not me.
Yeah. Well, you should only have 1 cup a day, Cody. Yeah.
But
I think we're all squirrels at this table. That's basically what Jess is
Well,
saying.
it was funny that we were talking about that, like, before we actually aired, about like the entrepreneurial personality type, and the idea that like a lot of us in entrepreneur world like constantly are searching for something different. Like a shiny thing comes along and all of a sudden you're like, shit, like I want to do that thing. And then what, you and I like struggle with that a lot
all the time.
all the time.
Yeah.
We're like, we're left and then we're right, and that's like, it's like we were chatting today about like niching down and like really thinking like of things from a different marketing perspective, and really focusing on one thing and getting great at that one thing. Like, is that something like with you as an entrepreneur? Are you constantly like struggling between like jumping from one thing to the next thing?
Oh my God, yes. That's the story of my life. Like every day I have a new idea. I'm like, I should do this as a business. I should do this. My husband and I are wanting to open a brewery. And
it's a great idea. I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like,
no, you're not.
Like, we've got to focus.
Yeah.
So I've just got to make this work, and then we can try something else. But that's the whole thing. Like, I did take a productivity course a few years ago when I was in Toronto, and that was really helpful for me to actually just say you really have to be consistent at something for long enough just to see it through, to see if it's actually going to be successful. And you know what, inevitably it will become successful if you put the effort into it and show up every day for it. Totally. Whereas before I was going from one thing to the next, and I was thinking like, why is everything failing or just not doing as well?
You have too many side hustles almost.
Exactly. And it's nothing can grow if you're always going in a different direction, right? You've got to kind of stay linear for a little bit to see it out. So,
and even from a marketing perspective, like if you look at the brands that are scaling and growing like across Canada, they generally are picking like one avatar or one focus, and they're picking one offer, and they have one deliverable, and those are the businesses that are growing quickly. It's something that like over even in our marketing, we've like shifted a lot of what we're doing. But like if you look at the businesses that are growing rapidly at a rapid rate, it's the entrepreneurs, like, because I just think naturally we want to do everything, and naturally we think, okay, there's one thing, I want to open a brewery, and then all of a sudden it's like the next day it's like, no, actually, I want to keep doing this video thing, and the next day you're like, no, I'm going to open a sandwich shop.
Yeah.
And it's like it's always these things that constantly you're like,
it's on your mind.
Shiny shiny syndrome.
Yeah.
Like,
and we have trouble sleeping at night, right?
Totally
Which is why I went to the medicine wheel yesterday in Roseneath and got myself some edibles, but to help me. But it's like how do you sleep at night? Like how do what?
We know how you sleep at night now.
I'm kidding. I just go once in a while.
I have a 7-month-old, so
yeah. But how do you like when you're wired like we are? You're like us, entrepreneurial, and you're always thinking and your mind's racing. How do you shut it off at night?
So 1 coffee a day.
Yeah.
Because after that I can't sleep
But
at
how
night.
how do you like do only 1 coffee a day especially with a kid, and doing the Pilates stuff, and then like all this like
I also take naps.
Okay, that's fair.
Oh, good for you.
Okay.
So I have to take at least 1 nap a day.
Like a cat nap, or will you go down
usually
for like a couple hours? And
no, it's usually like 45 minutes.
That would put me out. Honestly, that would put me out for the entire day.
Same here. I can't do it. I have weird dreams, like really trippy dreams. Like I've had too many edibles, and I can't. But you've managed to. Were you always like that, or is it just when you had the baby that you realized you're gonna have to sleep sometimes? Or
no, just with the baby.
Okay.
Like, because she just drains me more than I could have ever imagined. But and I'm trying to take advantage of this mat leave by taking naps. It is hard to turn your brain off though. Like there's a lot of nights where I'm tossing and turning. But I've also, like I said, when I was trying to get pregnant, I was telling you, I'm a very anxious person. So I did end up starting to take an anti-anxiety medication, which I know isn't for everybody. I did try a lot of meditation, which I still think is really awesome, and I was still doing that throughout my pregnancy, but I needed a little bit of extra, and that's really helped me with my mental health, and it's not a decision I regret at all.
And you've always been very transparent about that, reading your blog entries. Like you said, you're kind of really documenting your journey of health and wellness and sort of finding yourself and self-discovery. And I really like that about you. I think it really empowers other people to want to get help too in different ways, right? And not just accept the reality. So
yeah, and that's the thing. Like that's what my doctor said. He's like, you shouldn't feel bad about wanting to be happy. Like that's, and I was like, why would I feel bad about wanting to be happy? And now I'm so glad I did, because
doesn't matter how you get there, right?
Exactly. And I'm hoping that other people, like you said, can kind of learn from that and just not feel ashamed either.
So one of the questions I wanted to ask you, so I read a blog probably a month or two ago that seemed to get a lot of response, and it was about diet culture.
Yes.
So in your obsession with your body over the years and staying healthy to the point of when you go out to dinner and it's like, oh, how much can I eat? And if I eat this, I have to go work it off the next day. And you know, I have 2 teenage daughters too, and so many women struggle with that, the diet culture thing. And I really like that you did that. So what was, tell us a little bit for the people who didn't read it, and we will link to it. Rob can link to that in the podcast, but tell us why you wrote about that. It was very personal, and what you were hoping to get out of that and the impact you were trying to have.
Yeah, so I'll be honest, I write a lot of my blog posts for myself, and they usually end up speaking to a lot of other people. So I find that's where a lot of my inspiration comes from, is if I'm struggling with something, then I write about it and almost try to convince myself. And in a sense, I'm sort of holding myself accountable when I do publish these kinds of posts, because then people will read it and they'll hold me to it too. So, so the diet culture post is about women just being happy in their bodies and not listening to the media, because the media is constantly feeding us pictures of women that just aren't real. Like they're probably 99% they're 1% of the population that actually looks like what's portrayed on the media. And I was victim to it for so long.
When you say media, what are you meaning by media? Like what is this a certain platform that emphasizes this? Like, is it Instagram?
It's kind of everywhere. Like commercials, magazines,
glossy covers, how they can Photoshop.
Instagram, like everything is
mass
showing
media,
you that the ideal woman's body looks like this. And if you don't look like that, then you need to change. And I spent all of my 20s probably just trying to achieve that image, and it took up so much of my life and my energy. Now that I look back, there were so many moments in my life that I missed, or just I was so preoccupied with what I was eating and how I was exercising that I missed out on a lot in my life. And I also just could have been creating more things. Like there's so much more I could have been doing with my life instead of obsessing about the way I look. And I feel like if we can actually give a more positive message to younger people like me, that they can do better things with their time and money and energy too. Like the world would be a better place. And that's essentially it. Like it now that I see it, it's like I can't unsee it. The diet culture.
Well,
it's
at least
sick.
you figured out now and didn't waste your 30s and 40s
that's
too.
True too.
And the problem lies in the fact that the diet industry is huge. It's a Goliath, and they guilt you into it.
It's marketing too.
It's marketing,
It's marketing. Like you have guys over here, and it was interesting because I heard Russell Brunson talk about this a little while ago, like from a marketing perspective. So I get it from a marketing perspective, because you have person A over here who says, just eat good and do this and you'll lose weight, and then you have the kind of the tried and true thing, like where it's like it's a journey, not a losing weight is like it doesn't happen overnight. And then you have a person over here saying, no, this is the way it is, right. And then you have the gray space in between of everyone else saying this is the fad diet, or this fad diet, or this fad diet. So you have this gray in the middle, but then you have like the tried, tested, and true, and you have this person over here. So
complicated.
So it's interesting, and it's so funny that you said that, because I asked a question on Facebook the other day about intermittent fasting, and everyone has an opinion.
Yes.
Like the thing about you and I were chatting about this the other day. Everyone in the I'm not no health expert by any means, so don't take my advice. But take a look at So
you look great, man.
Yeah,
don't be out of yourself.
Yeah,
body positivity.
Exactly. But like what I'm trying to get at is everyone has an opinion in this industry,
right?
So how do you navigate through the opinions of so many people? Where some people are saying keto, some people are saying Atkins, other people are saying just exercise and eat right, and like how do you navigate, especially on Instagram? So your account is
what I like about what Jess does is she doesn't say to do any diet. Like healthy living is what you find on your own terms, really. Exactly, and that's what, like, you're not like this is my magic solution or magic bullet to getting well and getting healthy and feeling good about yourself. But I'll let you answer, but I just feel like it's...
That was perfect.
I'm our spokesperson. Yeah, but
You're
it's
hired.
Answer coming from her.
and then when, for instance, and then we have a barometer here in different cities, and then you go to LA and it's like, holy cow,
it's
then
totally
it's like
different. Yeah.
you can think you're hot here or healthy or look great, and then you go to LA and it's like 100 times. So it's just like it's a cultural thing too, and it's such a complicated thing. But I think like ultimately it just has to be on your own terms. And I will give you guys the solution to health. Do you know what it is? It's moderation. Diets do not work. It's just moderation in life.
Yeah.
And
Don't you
people-
think?
and
At some
you're-
level, enjoy your life.
You're gonna get a lot of people like this is a polarizing topic.
It is.
It's polarizing because people are like, well, because then it comes down to experience as well. It's like you can say diets don't work, but my experience is something different than what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, my arguments with diets is this.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
yo-yo
but
with
to
any
say it
diet.
doesn't work,
That no one.
But
Yeah.
to say it doesn't work is not
Well,
a
only
fair-
because the diet can work in the sense
It
that I see
depends
people
on-
that lose the weight, but
Yeah.
then the diet becomes, then they get confident, and then it just
It
fluctuates.
just depends on what your goals are, right?
Yeah.
Like
Totally.
what's going to work. If you want to lose 50 pounds really fast, sure, like intermittent fasting might work
you're
for
starving
you.
yourself.
But if you're looking for long-term health, then no diet's going to work. It's going to be individual, and any kind of restriction is always going to lead to overeating or binge eating.
Yeah.
Because
For
your
me, it's
body's-
moderation. That's the only way. I've never dieted my whole life. I ballooned one time for me, which was big to 200 pounds, and I've stayed around like 180, 182, and it's just moderation. That's all it is, and it's worked for me. And I'm not on a diet. Yeah.
And a lot.
Should I start a business here? Like,
I think
called
for,
the moderation
for
diet?
women too, the big
is that an
problem.
oxymoron, moderation diet?
No,
No.
I don't think so.
No, okay.
I think for women it's different because we have so much psychological attachment to foods, and we have this good or bad food, and it's really hard to get that part out of your head once it's ingrained in there. So that's my biggest thing is when I'm going to eat something, if I want it, I will eat it, but there's still a little piece in my mind that said, you could eat something healthier, and
I
you
get
have
that
to
too.
kind of
Yeah.
just shut it off and
Guys
listen to
get it
your
too
body.
now.
Oh yeah? Okay, well.
Yeah.
Well, either way, it's listening. Like you said, moderation. You've got to listen to your body when you want something that's quote unquote not healthy. You eat it, but then later on, you're probably going to eat something that's more healthy, right?
Okay.
So, to me, now that I've kind of healed my relationship with food, it's gotten to the point where my body sort of just figures it out. When I want to eat a lot of pizza, I will, and if I want to eat a lot of salad, then I will, and it kind of.
This is a pizza night for me.
Yeah, it's
I wanna
pizza
eat a
night
lot
for
of
me,
pizza.
too.
It's a Friday night. It's a wine and pizza party. And I don't care if I'm alone. It's just going to be.
Neil's just by
Yeah.
himself with a bunch
Yeah.
of wine and pizza.
I do try to hold off from
Yeah.
giving anybody advice on how to eat because it is so specific for
And that's
each
what-
person.
yeah.
It's a body type, kind
Yeah.
of like an entrepreneurial personality type.
Yeah, that's
Everyone's
true.
Different.
Tell us about social media and what it means to you. So, obviously, I guess the sort of con would be, again, the beauty industry, the projection on social media and Instagram. Everything's glossy. It's kind of the Instagram main feed is the modern day version of the magazine cover, right? Sort of like for certain industry or sectors. But how do you deploy and utilize social media in a positive way? Is it just by being super transparent, like you said, about writing about yourself and your own life and your journey, or?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's sort of like I was saying before, I write a lot of things that I need to hear. So a lot of the positivity messages are just things that I'm struggling with in my life, and sharing pictures of myself just the way I am, and not trying to hide behind any kind of any sort of lens that's going to sort of, what is the word? Photoshop. Yeah. Any kind of photoshopping, or I'm also trying to remove any accounts that don't promote.
I saw you post that the other day.
Like a lot of body positivity, or that are just not in line with what I'm interested in anymore. So if they're showcasing like a lot of exercising and really fit bodies, like that's great for them. I have nothing against those people. I just don't need that triggering me in my life anymore. So I actually like social media better than magazines because I can select what I want to look at, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and the truth, and it's funny with teenagers, like my daughters have them too. But like the Finsta is the true reflection, really, of the. But I wish it was the reverse almost. But
And
like the Insta
I
is.
think Instagram is doing a better job at removing that, especially
removing
with
the
removing
likes.
the likes.
Yeah.
So Gary Vaynerchuk said something like, I don't really follow a ton of his content anymore, but like he said something the other day that, like, you know, along the removing these likes, and he's like, I like the fact that they're doing that because the likes are holding people back from actually posting content, like creating content or just showing, like,
They're
telling your
overthinking
story.
everything.
100% they
Yeah.
are, or they're not trying new things. You know, like the content creators are not trying new things because they're like, that one time got me a lot of likes, so I'm going to go back to that because that's when this got me the most likes. So this is what I'm going to do. They're not trying new things. Like they're stuck in one lane. They're doing one thing, and they just keep doing that one thing because they think it's working, but they're not trying new things.
Yeah, but for me, like I agree with 100% what you're saying, but it's like Finsta reflects real reality and culture of teenagers and 20-somethings. And I wish and I hope that day will come when Finsta will be Insta for teenagers. Yeah, because I find it, way more reality. So what Pilates instructor, you're on a break from that right now, but tell us about that brand and what you're hoping to accomplish with that. You're based
Still
out
online. Like you're still doing the online.
You're based out
Pilates on
of Pulse Physio with someone named Connor Massimo. I don't know. Connor.
So,
but tell us about that.
Sure. So when I moved here about 2 years ago now, I started teaching Pilates. I wasn't teaching at Connor's yet because he didn't have the studio space, but I noticed that a lot of my clientele, let's say, weren't able to come to my classes because they were moms that had small children at home, and getting to a class is really hard, and now I know that. So I was trying to think of a way that I could make my services more accessible. And just because I was already online with the blog, it kind of made sense to segue that and create an online version of my Pilates classes. So the brand, or the name, is called Pilates On Demand, is my company, and it's an online subscription for Pilates classes, where you log in, you can pay either monthly or annually, and then you have access to all of the classes, and then we have pre-designed programs for you to follow too. So that's going really well. I'm happy with where I'm at in terms of amount of work I can actually get done this year, so it's been good. And then I'm hoping to start teaching in person in Peterborough again in the fall.
So people can actually subscribe to your site and then get your classes online? That's how it works?
Well, I've pre-recorded them all.
You're right. Yeah. Okay. It's not real time.
No, it's not real time. That wouldn't be very efficient with my time.
So you're building out a subscription model, which is a great idea. People pay X dollars a month and get access. Do you put up new videos, or how does that?
So I film once a month and I put up a new video every week.
It's great. I love it.
Yeah.
And you archive all the old stuff too? Like that's all in there?
Yeah,
Okay.
so we have over 60 videos now.
Love it.
And I started, it'll be a year this August that I launched.
Good for you. Awesome.
What's the goal then as you move forward? You have a 3 to 5 year plan. Like, are you pretty, like you were saying earlier, how you have tons of side hustles, but now you kind of locked into just a few.
Yes.
Is the plan to really develop and build this Pilates model, or is it the healthy, sweet tomato potato? But tell us about it.
I think it's a bit of both. So with I like building my blog up alongside of my Pilates business, because I think people get to know who I am that way, and they can kind of see, okay, because now the way things are going online, people are buying from people that they know, like, and trust, essentially.
Totally.
So if they know, like, and trust me, then they're probably more likely to sign up for Pilates On Demand. So, and that's who I want to attract to. Like, totally. I want people that actually like me and like my videos to subscribe. So that's the reason I'm creating them. And then I'd love to scale the business to, right now I have 2 instructors that work under me who make video for me. And then I'm hoping to have more. So I can do, more of the running of the business, which would be great. So I'd love to scale it to, oh my God, as many employees as I can handle.
I love it.
But and bringing on more people in more of a manager sense would be nice too. Somebody that can help me.
Now somebody, say for example, somebody's getting into this industry for the first time, like specifically the health industry, whether it be an online course in the health industry or whether it be they want to start their own Pilates studio. What advice would you give to them, at that young entrepreneur who's looking to take it to the next step?
I think they definitely have to work in the field first, definitely get an idea for what people like and build a style too. So my style of Pilates is very different than a traditional style of Pilates, and that's just because I have an athletic background. Like, I'm an athletic therapist and I worked as a strength and conditioning coach, so I kind of prefer to make the workouts a little different than just Pilates, and people tend to like those classes. So definitely getting a feel for, okay, what's my style? How am I going to be different? And then figuring out what people like and what they're actually going to want to buy from you kind of thing. So depending on if your business is Pilates, like trying out a few videos for free, getting some feedback on them, and then building it up from there. I definitely say in-person classes first. It's always better to sort of get your confidence up that way. And then if you're just doing health, I guess the same thing applies. If you're doing any kind of health business, you definitely want to listen to your customers first. And I would say before you invest a whole bunch of money in, just try some things out. Like, honestly, you could build like a freebie, like an email opt-in freebie, test 2 of them, see which one people like better, and kind of go more in that direction and keep sort of working that way. Because it's really, like, I didn't do that from the beginning, and I would suggest, even before like I built my site, I put out one survey. I should have been putting out surveys almost every day to try to get as much information as I could so that I could be more effective with my time and money.
Your due diligence. Yeah, good for you. What's the difference between Pilates and yoga then, in a couple lines? Because to me they're the same thing, and that kind of Pilates has become more trendy than yoga at some level for me. I don't know, in the vernacular zeitgeist. But what is the difference? They're both contortionist moves to me, and I can't do them. But
yeah, I get this question almost every day. So Pilates focuses more on core control and very isolated body movement. So it's really isolating very small muscles, and you're doing the exercises repeatedly, whereas yoga would be more fluidly, like you're moving into one pose into the next. Whereas Pilates, we hold poses, we pulse, and it's really focused on just kind of fatiguing the muscles, and you really, really feel the burn in it. But core strength, rehab-based as well. So it's great for people going through rehab or that have any kind of injury too. It's very friendly to almost every population. There's no one that can't do Pilates.
Yeah, come to think of it, the moves Connor taught me for my back are Pilates moves somewhat.
Yeah, a lot of them are.
Yeah, they're not yoga because I can do them. It's not easy for me. But yeah, it's your core. It's strengthening your core, right? And tiring your muscles, and it feels like you get a workout. One more, we have to wrap up soon, but about branding. So you and I talked a few years ago. We met about branding. I'm like, Jess, you should just build like a Jess Dalliday brand and like just go all in on that. And you didn't, but there's no right or wrong. So you've done this brand, Pilates on Demand. You've done the healthy, sweet potato.
Not tomato.
Yeah, not tomato. So what made you do that? Like, and as opposed to just going JessDalliday.com and building the Jess Dalliday brand?
I think down the road, like I'm thinking about my exit strategy for Pilates on Demand. Like eventually I'd love to do it as long as I possibly can, but that's part of a business that I think I'd like to grow to a point where we'd either get acquired or if someone else wants to buy it. I kind of wanted to separate it from my blog because my blog is so me, and that's something that no one else can ever take that part of it, or I would never want them to either. Like it's me. I'm not, like, I do monetize it a little bit, but it's not my main source of income by any means. But the Pilates brand I wanted to build to be something really big that eventually, if I decided to sell, it would be an option. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that's more of why I chose not to combine them exactly together.
Yeah, that's a good answer, yeah. Well, I think that's it. This has been a great, I really, like Cody and I are really impressed by everything you're doing, and again, empowering people locally and beyond by just being really telling your story, right?
Yeah,
like we tell everyone, and be super honest and be who you are. Again, like I know you online, know you offline, and you're authentic. You are who you are in both ways. And I think that really wins at life, right? And
thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Like honestly, like, we've known each other for a couple years, and like to see how far you've come over the last couple years, like even like with your branding and just like everything you're doing with Pilates on Demand is absolutely amazing. I remember when you moved to Peterborough, and when I was doing the Creative Purpose stuff, like back in the day, we connected, and it's so cool to see like, this happen. Like, like it's cool.
And she took coffee with people too. That's how we met the first time, I think, at Black Honey. And she she reached, like we would tell everyone, and starting out on your journey and building a network, ask them for coffee. What's the worst thing that can happen when you make an ask? Totally. They'll say no. Yeah. Who cares? Ask the next person in line.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, Jess.
Oh, thank you guys so much for having me.
Awesome.
And I'm always looking up to you guys and taking your advice. So keep on doing what
Will
you're
you
doing.
follow me at the Healthy Sweet Tomato when I start that?
Nope.
No.
No. And thank you for tuning into the Studio PTBO podcast. If you're not in the Studio PTBO Marketing Hacks group, you need to be. If you're a business owner that is looking to grow and scale online, learn about digital marketing, get in that group. It's in the link below.
Jess, are you in that group?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. She comments all the time. And if you're a real estate professional,
Yes.
we have a digital marketing hacks for real estate, partnering with an agency out of LA, really trying to provide massive value to the real estate community, just help them around, attracting more leads, converting clients, and really trying to eliminate the door knocking and all that stuff, and really help you grow and build your business online. So we'll post that in the comments section below. Thank you once again for tuning into the Studio PTBO podcast. We will see you soon.